Hey everybody, it's Ron, and I want to tell you a story about business and how that story changed everything. It's sometime in the mid-1970s. The classroom smells like floor wax and mimeograph ink. A box fan rattles in the window, fighting a losing battle against late spring heat. Desks are bolted to metal frames with their laminate tops scratched and carved with initials. Up front, the teacher is loading a film strip projector. The machine clicks and hums and throws a faint beam of dust-filled light across the room. In the back row, two boys are not watching. One of them rolls a thin tan rubber band between his fingers, stretching it slowly until it pulls tight and it vibrates and then lets it go. The other leans sideways just as it snaps forward with a sharp, dry pop. A quiet laugh between the two of them. They wait. The lights dim further for the film, and another stretch and another snap. This one sails a little too high and lands with a quick flick against the back of a girl's head 2 rows up. She jerks forward, hand flying to her hair. The projector keeps humming, the boys freeze. And it's just a rubber band, something you find wrapped around a stack of mail, around broccoli at the grocery store, around a morning newspaper, something that lives in junk drawers and desk organizers. It's small, it's cheap, it's replaceable. So small you never even ask where it came from. But that little loop of stretched rubber quietly holds together paperwork, packaging, deposits, inventory, and mail across the world. So how did something so simple become so universal? How did a small circle of rubber move from mischief in a classroom to infrastructure in a warehouse? And how did a patent filed in London on March 17, 1845, become one of the quiet building blocks of modern business? From Business Basics, I'm Ron Trucks, and this is Business History, the daily podcast where we explain the stories that changed business forever. Every date on the calendar has a story where business reshaped the world. Today, March 17th, that story takes us to 1845, where small tools make big systems work. London in the 1840s was loud and crowded and increasingly administrative. Ships were unloading cargo along the Thames. Clerks were copying invoices by hand, and banks were tracking deposits in thick, leather-bound ledgers. Paper was everywhere. It arrived with goods, it followed goods, it documented goods. And paper does not stack neatly on its own. Before elastic bands, clerks relied on string, twine, or sealing wax to hold documents together. It worked, but it was slow. Bundles had to be tied carefully, and knots had to be cut and retied. Efficiency mattered more every year as trade continued to expand. Now, let's talk about rubber. Rubber at that point was still pretty unpredictable. Raw latex would often soften in heat, and it would stiffen in cold. It wasn't reliable enough for daily commercial use. That changed in 1839 when a man by the name of Charles Goodyear discovered what was called vulcanization, which was basically a process that made rubber stable and durable. By the early 1840s, vulcanized rubber was beginning to circulate in industrial centers like London. In that environment, a different man by the name of Stephen Perry, working with a stationery firm, Messrs. Perry & Company, saw an opportunity. On March 17, 1845, he patented an improvement in elastic bands in the United Kingdom. Now, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't world-changing in appearance, it was simply a loop. But sometimes what commerce needs isn't spectacle, it's stability.
Imagine home. The smell of coffee, the sound of a lawnmower, the sun's warmth on your face. Free to be yourself, surrounded by love that helps you grow. This is a place to call home. That's an American dream we all deserve. But in 50% of U.S. states, you could legally be denied housing if you are LGBTQ+. Get the facts and hear real stories at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
The genius of the rubber band wasn't invention in the grand sense. It was actually integration into systems that already existed. Once vulcanized rubber became reliable, that small elastic loop could slide around a stack of invoices in seconds. It could hold together letters without damaging them. It could secure folded documents without wax or flame or twine. In a warehouse along the Thames, a clerk could bundle bills of lading and custom papers faster than before. In a London bank, deposits could be grouped quickly for counting. In a print shop, freshly cut pamphlets could be secured for delivery. None of those tasks required a new industry. They just required less friction. As British manufacturing expanded in the mid to late 19th century, and companies like Dunlop Rubber scaled rubber production, elastic products moved from novelty to standard supply. The rubber band became something offices simply ordered, the same way they ordered ink or paper. No one reorganized their business model around some simple elastic loops. But as administrative systems grew more complex, small efficiencies mattered. Seconds saved on bundling became hours saved across departments. Simple restraint prevented scattered paperwork and misplaced forms. Scale doesn't come only from engines and railroads. It comes from thousands of small tools that remove resistance from daily operations.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
By the 20th century, the rubber band was no longer a clever accessory, it was just part of office life. In 1923, the Alliance Rubber Company was founded in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and would go on to produce mass quantities of elastics. In 1923, the Alliance Rubber Company was founded in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and would go on to mass produce elastic bands for offices and factories across the United States. Similar manufacturers operated across Europe and Asia. As corporations grew after World War I and again after World War II, paperwork just continued to multiply. Filing cabinets lined entire floors. Banks processed increasing volumes of paper checks. Government agencies handled expanding administrative systems. Rubber bands quietly held deposits together and secured stacks of payroll checks, kept inventory documents from scattering across warehouse decks. When container shipping transformed global trade in the 1950s and 60s, when multinational corporations expanded in the 1970s, when supply chains stretched across continents in the 1990s, the rubber band remained present. It didn't command attention, it didn't demand headlines, but it kept systems orderly. When Stephen Perry formalized that simple elastic loop in London, he did more than patent a product. He contributed to the invisible architecture that allows modern business to function smoothly. Small tools rarely get credit, but without them, big systems unravel. And this small tool was patented on March 17, 1845. I'm Ron Trucks, and this is Business History, the podcast that finds the turning points behind the headlines. To hear more stories like this, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. And if you're enjoying the stories, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a quick review. It helps more people find the story behind the business. And if you want to actually understand business better without the fluff or the buzzwords or the MBA language, start by visiting us at businessdailypodcast.com.